HR planning for re-entry, getting your people back to work. As we start to see the first signs of employees returning to the workplace, albeit in limited circumstances, now is a good time to share the third of our re-entry articles to help HR and talent management professionals guide their organisations into the future. With the Chancellor announcing that the Coronavirus Job Retention Scheme will be extended until the end of October 2020, now is the time to turn your attention to the practical steps you can take from an HR point of view. Hello, I'm Rachel Ward from Jared Consulting. As HR and talent management experts, we wanted to share a few key considerations to help you plan for the future. This series of re-entry videos and articles are aimed at supporting you as lockdown measures are eased and employees return to the workplace. Further to Boris Johnson's latest announcement on the 25th of May, we expect these numbers to increase considerably post the 15th of June. Our two previous articles in this series can be found on our website, and, as before, we have included links to other useful resources too. So the first question, and arguably the one currently highest on employers' agendas, is what are the key things to think about in planning a safe return to work? The government has produced no fewer than 8 guides on working safely during coronavirus, each focused on different types of workplace, including other people's homes. In addition, it has also shared a guide to help get Brits safely back to work, with 5 key points. 1. Work from home if you can. 2. Carry out a COVID-19 risk assessment in consultation with trade unions or workers. 3. Maintain 2 metres social distancing wherever possible. 4. Where people cannot be 2 metres apart, manage risk transmission. 5. Reinforce cleaning processes. Unsurprisingly, there is a substantial amount of guidance, and while we won't go into every single detail, there are some key elements worth highlighting. Firstly, the message is clear that where employees can work from home, they should continue to do so. We recently shared our top tips on remote working, and we anticipate an increase in requests for flexible working for the foreseeable future. So if your employees will continue to work from home, whether they are already doing so or will do so when their furlough leave ends, now is the time to communicate with them along with timescales, or at least a date when you will review the situation and provide a further update. Legally, you need to record any significant findings from risk assessments if you have more than 5 staff. The guidance now also recommends that you publish your COVID-19 risk assessment findings on your website. In addition, it is likely that all employers with over 50 workers will be expected to do so. If you recognise a trade union, you should consult with your union safety representatives. If you don't, you must consult either employees or their elected representatives about health and safety measures. In particular, the introduction of new measures that could substantially affect their health and safety. You may want to organise a body of employee representatives for this, but could simply start by asking for volunteers. You should plan to have the minimum number of people on site at any one time by means of, for example, a shift system. Start by assessing who needs to be on site. It's likely to be those in business critical and operational continuity roles, as well as those that simply cannot work remotely. Pay particular attention to those individuals at high risk due to existing health conditions, or those who live with individuals at high risk, and for whom returning to the workplace should be your last resort. Equality in the workplace must also be heeded, and bear in mind particularly the needs of those who are disabled, new or expectant mothers, or anyone with a protected characteristic for whom further adjustments may need to be made. Continue to maintain contact with employees and monitor their well-being, whether at home or in the workplace. The second question concerns furlough. How should we unfurlough employees? You may wish to ask your people about their preference. Don't assume that everyone will want to get back into the office, or likewise will want to stay working from home. Everyone is different and has different social, emotional and physical needs. An individualistic approach wherever possible will have the best effect. Take time to understand individuals' circumstances and ensure that they feel they have a voice and are being listened to. Line managers play a critical role here, So consider how you will ensure they are equipped with the right skills and confidence to have these sorts of conversations with their people. Emotional resilience will no doubt have been tested during this time. Show compassion and understanding as you navigate your workforce back to the new normal. And don't underestimate how important this is as you start to move forward. Don't forget that while some people may have enjoyed the furloughed period, others will have found it very stressful. Some will worry that being furloughed is the first step towards redundancy. Emotions will be mixed, so take care, acknowledge and manage appropriately. Also, don't forget that people will compare and share their experiences. These conversations need to be facilitated carefully to avoid any negative and unproductive relationships going forward. There is no prescribed way of ending furlough leave, but the more notice that can be given, the better. Notice should be in writing and alongside close line management. We recommend providing a Q&A document to help manage employees' expectations on return and deal with anticipated concerns and questions. Keep this document regularly updated and set up a central email address where questions can be submitted. You may ask, have our obligations under redundancy legislation changed as a result of COVID-19 or the Coronavirus Job Retention Scheme? The answer is simple, no, at least at the time of writing. Neither does an employee being on furlough leave prevent you from making them redundant. As a reminder, you have an obligation to consult individual employees when redundancy is proposed. You have an additional obligation to collectively consult for at least 30 days where between 20 and 99 redundancies are proposed in one location within a 90-day period. The period of collective consultation extends to 45 days when 100 or more redundancies are proposed. Remember with collective consultations that you are obliged to inform the Secretary of State when they are triggered. For the purposes of collective consultation, employers can use a recognised trade union or an existing standing employee body. Alternatively, workplace representatives will need to be put in place by means of a ballot in determined constituencies. There is specified information that must be provided to employee representatives in writing. These are the reasons for the redundancies, those employees who may be affected and the numbers of each, the method of selection, known as the selection criteria, the timing of redundancies, the method of calculating redundancy payments, the number of agency workers engaged by the employer and the roles they are undertaking. And you must consult with a view to reaching agreement on ways of avoiding redundancies, reducing the number of redundancies, and finally, mitigating the impacts of redundancies. There is much more to think about to ensure a legally compliant process, and as strategic thinkers, we must also think about how the process is managed, the human cost, the effect on the psychological contract, the impact on the organisation's brand, values, and reputation. Although redundancies are more difficult when done remotely, communication and consultation can still be done with empathy and respect if carefully planned. We've said it before, but how people are treated will be remembered by both current and future employees, as well as your customers for a long time to come. As a fourth consideration, you may want to understand what alternatives to redundancy are other organisations using. Many employers are already receiving positive press because their furlough exit strategy involves taking steps to reduce costs without the need for redundancies. Needless to say, any alternative approach needs to be carefully costed and planned, and is likely to require consultation and consent from employees. A few alternatives you may wish to consider include 1. An extension to furlough terms without financial assistance from the government. 2. Bringing employees back to work on reduced hours and pay. 3. Bringing employees back to work on reduced pay but on the same hours. 4. Offering sabbaticals or temporary part-time working. And 5. Offering flexible contracts or project-based contracts. Our final point asks, our workplace and organisation is changing at a rapid pace. How can we keep ahead? There will be many lessons learned in your response to COVID-19, some positive and others less so. Your successes and failures should be recorded and embedded into your future ways of working and policies. For example, how will your current home working, flexible working and disciplinary policies measure up against new ways of working? Bear in mind too that you should revisit and expand your existing health and safety and business continuity policies to cover your approach to controlling the risks presented by COVID-19, both physically and digitally. Policy review isn't just about recording the framework, however. We previously discussed the need to review and align organisational and HR strategy, ensuring that any changes are aligned to your values in order to retain people's loyalty and trust. This voice should be present in all HR-related communications and policies. Finally, keeping close to your people and really understanding the mood in the camp is critical during uncertain and ever-changing times. Consider how this can be achieved through relationships, line management, pulse surveys, and suitable technology. As HR, talent, leadership and change experts, we are supporting our clients to navigate this volatile and complex world in many ways. Whether it be through coaching to build psychological flexibility and resilience, facilitated teamworks, HR or line manager upskilling, transitioning programs or activities to a virtual format, or employee relations advice, we are here to help. As ever, if you have any questions on any of the issues addressed in this article, please get in touch, and thank you for listening.